Have you ever been told you were worthless, that you'd be nothing without someone else's help? Elise Vance heard those words every single day for 5 years. When her husband demanded a divorce, she didn't scream. She didn't fight. She did something that shocked everyone in the courtroom. She handed him the deed to their house, smiled, and walked out with nothing but her purse. Her ex thought he'd won the jackpot. But 48 hours later, a grainy cell phone video went viral, showing Elise boarding a black Sikorsky helicopter belonging to the most elusive billionaire in New York. And what happened next? Well, let's just say, revenge is a dish best served from 3,000 feet in the air. The fluorescent lights of the family courtroom in downtown Seattle hummed with a low, irritating buzz that seemed to burrow straight into Elise Vance's skull. Across the mahogany table sat Mark, her husband of 5 years, soon-to-be ex-husband. He was leaning back in his chair, checking his watch, his face a mask of bored arrogance. Next to him, his attorney, a sharp-featured woman named Linda Thorne, was shuffling papers with aggressive precision. Mr. Vance is requesting full ownership of the property at 42 Willow Creek Lane. Linda stated, her voice devoid of warmth. Given that he made the down payment and has been the primary earner for the last 2 years, we believe this is equitable. The judge, a weary-looking man named Judge Harrow, peered over his spectacles at Elise. Mrs. Vance, your counsel has argued that you paid the mortgage for the first 3 years while Mr. Vance was between opportunities. Do you contest this request? Elise looked at her hands. They were trembling slightly, not from fear, but from a rage so cold it felt like ice in her veins. She looked up at Mark. He wasn't even looking at her. He was scrolling on his phone, probably texting her Jessica, the 22-year-old intern he'd been mentoring for the last 6 months. The same intern who was now living in their guest room because Mark claimed he needed space to work on his startup. Elise's lawyer, a kind but overworked public defender named Mr. Henderson, started to stand up. Your Honor, my client has put over $80,000 into renovations alone. Elise reached out and touched Mr. Henderson's arm. It's okay, Robert. She stood up. The room went quiet. Elise was known for being soft-spoken. Mark had often called her a doormat in front of their friends, laughing it off as a joke. Judge Harrow, Elise said, her voice clear. I don't want to contest it. Mark's head snapped up. Linda Thorne blinked. Excuse me, the judge asked. He can have the house, Elise said. She reached into her bag and pulled out a heavy set of keys. She placed them gently on the table. He can have the furniture, the car, the joint savings account with the $4,000 left in it. I don't want any of it. Mark let out a scoff of disbelief, a grin spreading across his face. Serious. You're just giving up. Elise turned to look him dead in the eye. I'm not giving up, Mark. I'm cashing out. The cost of keeping that house is dealing with you, and frankly, that's too expensive for me. Mrs. Vance, the judge warned, if you agree to this now, you cannot come back later seeking assets. You will be leaving this marriage with essentially 0 assets. I understand, Your Honor, Elise said. I just want the decree signed today. Right now. Mark laughed, leaning over to whisper to his lawyer. She's finally lost it. She's going to be sleeping in her mom's basement by Friday. The gavel banged. It was done. 10 minutes later, outside the courthouse, the gray Seattle drizzle began to fall. Mark walked out, twirling the keys to the house on his finger. He stopped when he saw Elise waiting for an Uber. You know, he said, stepping close enough that she could smell his expensive cologne, a gift she had bought him last Christmas. I almost feel bad for you, Elle. Jessica and I are going to redo the kitchen, maybe knock down that wall you like so much. It's going to be a real bachelor pad. Enjoy it, Mark, Elise said, checking her phone. Really, I hope the house brings you everything you deserve. What are you going to do now? Mark sneered. Go back to waitressing at that diner. Beg your dad for a loan. You're 32, Elise. You're starting over with nothing. You're pathetic. Elise looked up from her phone. A small, sad smile played on her lips. "I'm not starting over, Mark. I'm finally starting." A black sedan pulled up to the curb. It wasn't an Uber. It was a Mercedes-Maybach S-Class, sleek and polished to a mirror shine. The back window was tinted so dark it looked like a black hole. Mark frowned. "Who is that?" The driver. A massive man in a tailored suit stepped out and opened the rear door for Elise. "Goodbye, Mark," Elise said. She slipped into the leather interior without looking back. As the car pulled away, Mark stood on the wet pavement, the keys heavy in his hand, a sudden inexplicable knot of anxiety tightening in his stomach. He shook it off. "She's probably dating some old guy for money," he told himself. "That's the only explanation." He had no idea that the man waiting inside that car wasn't just some guy, and he had no idea that the house he had just fought so hard to keep was about to become the biggest mistake of his life. Inside the Maybach, the silence was absolute, insulated from the rainy chaos of Seattle. Elise let out a breath she felt like she'd been holding for 5 years. "You okay?" a deep voice asked from the shadows of the seat beside her. Elise turned. Sitting there reading a financial report on a tablet was Justin Thorne. No relation to Mark's lawyer. Justin was a name that made Wall Street tremble. At 35, Justin was the CEO of Sterling Dynamics, a global logistics and tech conglomerate. He was also devastatingly handsome, with sharp cheekbones and eyes the color of stormy seas. And until today, nobody knew he even knew Elise Vance existed. "I'm fine," Elise said, her voice trembling slightly, now that the adrenaline was fading. "It's done. He has the house." Justin set the tablet down, and he signed the waiver, the one stating he has no claim to any future assets or earnings of yours acquired after today's date. He signed it. Elise nodded. He was so busy gloating about getting the Willow Creek house, he didn't even read the fine print on the separation agreement regarding undisclosed intellectual property. Justin smiled, a rare, genuine expression that softened his hard features. "Good. Because as of 9:00 a.m. this morning, the patent was approved." Elise closed her eyes and leaned her head back against the headrest. Most people knew Elise as the quiet woman who worked part-time catering gigs and tried to keep her loud, demanding husband happy. What nobody knew, not even Mark, was that Elise was a chemical engineer by training. She had dropped out of her PhD program to support Mark's failed real estate career, but she had never stopped working in her makeshift lab in the garage when Mark wasn't around. For 3 years, she had been developing a biodegradable, high-tensile synthetic polymer intended to replace single-use plastics in medical shipping. It was a billion-dollar idea. And 6 months ago, she had met Justin Thorne. It had been purely accidental. She was catering a high-end charity gala that Mark had forced her to work at to make connections for him. Mark had gotten drunk and embarrassed himself. Elise had fled to the terrace to cry. Justin had been there hiding from the press. They talked for 3 hours, not about business but about chemistry, sustainability, and the suffocating weight of being undervalued. When Justin found out what she was working on, he didn't try to steal it. He offered to fund the final testing and legal work secretly. "We have a board meeting in New York in 6 hours, Justin said, checking his watch. "The investors want to meet the woman who just made their stock jump 12% in pre-market trading. I'm wearing a dress from Target." "Justin." Elise laughed nervously. "We have clothes waiting on the plane," he said. "Speaking of which, we're heading to the helipad." The next morning, Mark woke up in the master bedroom of the Willow Creek house. The silence was deafening. Usually Elise was up making coffee, the smell of bacon wafting through the hall. Now the kitchen was cold. He rolled over and checked his phone. He had 45 missed notifications. Must be people congratulating me on the divorce, he thought smugly. He opened Instagram. The first thing he saw was a story from his friend Gary. It was a repost of a video from a gossip site called The Seattle Scoop. The caption read, "Mystery woman boards, Sterling Dynamics chopper is that Justin Thorne's new flame." Mark frowned. He clicked the video. It was shaky footage clearly taken by someone standing near the fence of a private airfield. The wind was whipping around, but the image was clear enough. A black helicopter was spooling up its rotors, slicing the air. A man, unmistakably the billionaire Justin Thorne, was helping